Namaste everyone, ChristianRLong, life enhancement consultant, giving you a big and beautiful shout out on this Wednesday. I finally got it on the first try this Wednesday evening here in Denver, Colorado. It's about 5:47 p.m. here in Mountain Time, and my body is sweating profusely. Now, you might be saying to yourself, well, of course your body's sweating because you're sitting there wearing a sweatshirt. So it would be kind of fitting. But it wasn't so hot earlier today, and I just finished doing some healings, doing my extended Arhatic yoga practice. So my body is a little hot. Susan, Namaste, my fellow Arhatic yogini sister. So my body's a little hot, physically, energetically, a lot of downpour of spiritual energy, a lot of uprising of Kundalini energy. So the body's hot right now. And so I want to jump on. As you guys know, we do these streams each and every day, talking about energy healing, meditation, and practical spirituality. And I thought, what would be an interesting topic that we haven't really covered before in all the streams that we've been doing this year? And I don't think I've actually ever covered this topic in detail before. And the topic I want to cover was, is it better to be a lone wolf in your meditation practice, or is it better to become part of the pack? Right? Am I saying it right? Pack, wolf pack, which is ironic. Lone wolf, but then wolves are part of packs. So it doesn't really make sense, but I thought we would just go with it. So I started on my spiritual path in 1999 with transcendental meditation. And they were very, very big into the concept of the Maharishi effect. And this came out in the early 70s, where they found out that when you had 1% of the local population meditating as a group, it changed the energy of the entire area, no matter how big or small that area was. And so crime rates would go down, pollution rates would go down, what else? Car accidents would go down. And they did over 600 studies validating the principle known as the Maharishi effect. And they found that you have the 1% of the population doing the TM technique, but if you had the square root of 1% of the population practicing the TM Cities program, which is the next level of advanced meditation practices that the TM organization teaches, that would still produce the same effect. So you don't need as many people meditating together at one time. So when I got involved in meditation, that was promoted quite often, of meditating in a group, meditating in a group, meditating in a group, meditating in a group, because a rising tide raises all ships. So if you have little ships and huge carriers, aircraft carriers, when the tide rises, everything goes up, meaning when consciousness increases, when the energy increases, it takes everybody up. So that's the beautiful thing about the Twin Hearts meditation, because as we evolve, because we're all connected, we're all one, and we're all part of Mother Earth, as we evolve as individuals, it increases the vibration and evolution of Mother Earth, even to a minute degree. And when Mother Earth evolves, Mother Earth's evolution increases and raises with us as well. So we become part of that. Anna and I have been meeting weekly for meditation, more powerful. There you go. So Susan, longtime Arhatic yoga practitioner, who's one of the most disciplined practitioners I know in pranic healing and Arhatic yoga. And I've had the honor of knowing Susan for, I think, 4 or 5 years now at this point, Susan. And she's very good at following the simple instructions that Grandmaster Choa Kok Sui laid out. So, now, here's the challenge with meditating as a group, with becoming dependent upon the group. That if for whatever reason the person is not able to meet with their group, whether it's every day, weekly, bi-weekly, even once a month, if they're not able to meet with their group to do their meditation practice, they don't do it at all. So when I first learned how to meditate, I didn't have access to a group where I was in Berlin, Massachusetts. I learned in Lancaster, Massachusetts, which they're 5 miles away. and there wasn't that big of a meditation community that were at the beginning stages, meaning the TM technique. There weren't many TM practitioners, but there were a decent amount of TM Siddha practitioners, the higher level. But guess what? If you're not initiated to that level of development, you're kind of out of luck. You can't join the group. And we are similar to that way when you learn pranic healing, right? You take pranic healing classes, pranic healing lessons. You learn the Twin Hearts meditation, and then once you take Arhatic Yoga, you learn the Arhatic Yoga meditations, right? Which are more powerful, more advanced, and in order to be in the room with those advanced practitioners, you need to have been initiated into those techniques. Why? It's not to be secretive for the sake of being secretive. It's because the energy is very strong, it's very potent, and it can cause adverse effects to the people that are in the area directly. Right? We're not talking about the permeating consciousness or the permeating energies. We're talking about being in the direct, what do they call it? The not the splash zone, but ground zero of where the energy is emanating from. Yes, been a loner for too long, upgrading. Yeah, so Susan and I can relate to that. So I didn't have a chance to meditate in a group when I first learned how to meditate. So I would be in my house, and I'd have my little comfortable chair, and I completely take that back. That chair was super uncomfortable. It was this old wooden chair. Have you ever noticed, if you've ever been to Massachusetts, all the chairs are small, wooden, super heavy, and like 100 years old? No matter where you go in Massachusetts, no matter what house, whether it's a brand new house, whether the house is 200 years old, it doesn't seem to matter. There's always a small, wooden, super heavy, uncomfortable chair in somebody's house. I think it's like, I don't know, it's passed on from house to house or something like that. Like maybe nobody takes them because they're so heavy. Anyways, I would meditate in my bedroom in one of those chairs, and I had a balcony in my bedroom. I lived in a really nice house, so I grew up in a really nice house. And so I would have the chair facing outside so I could look outside, which is ironic because when you're meditating, are your eyes open or are they closed? They're usually closed. So I was there, I would, get comfortable, and I would start my TM practice, and I'd practice my mantra, and then all of a sudden my physical body became still, my emotions became still, my mind became still, and then I started going somewhere. I could literally feel myself being bathed in stillness, bathed in silence, using the mantra that I had been taught. Very powerful practice. I really, really enjoyed my TM practice, which I did religiously for about 4.5 years in the evening, in the mornings, and then in the evenings for 20 minutes and 20 minutes. And for about 7 or 8 months, I was doing my practice all by myself until I had the opportunity to attend the university in Fairfield, Iowa, Maharishi University of Management, where, guess what? Twice a day, I had the opportunity to meditate with 75 to 100 other TM practitioners. So what do you think the effect was? Super, super, super powerful. Really, really accelerated. Like, you close your eyes, and bam, you're already in deep, Diane, namaste. You're already in deep meditation, deep stillness, and it's beautiful. That's weird. Sorry guys, I'm getting messages coming in. So practicing in a group was really, really wonderful. And you could notice the effect. You could notice that there was more energy, there was more presence. So a quote from my teacher, Grandmaster Choa Kuk-Sui, and I don't have it directly in front of me, so I'm paraphrasing just a little bit, so my apologies to the teacher, is when you have a large group of people gathering together to do spiritual work, healing work, meditation work, it forces the great ones to come. It forces them to come, because the more souls that are part of an experience to move the divine plan forward, to be instruments of goodwill and the will to do good, it forces the hierarchy of the great teachers, the great souls, the adepts, the arhats, the initiates, to come down energetically and etherically to guide those energies, because they're more developed than we are. And that's a whole other conversation in and of itself. So the bigger the group, the more energy is brought down and the more help and assistance we can get. So it makes sense. It's better to meditate in a group than it is to meditate by yourself. But the caveat to that is, do not become dependent, do not become reliant, do not use the group as a crutch to do or not do your meditation practice. Meaning, okay, I wasn't able to meet with the group this Sunday, for instance. Can't do my meditation practice. No, you still do your meditation practice. Oh, I wasn't able to meet with them every 2 weeks or once a month. I'm not going to do my meditation practice. Nope, you can't do that. See, Bella, I'm going to say, you have to do your practice religiously, regardless of whether you're in a group or not. And have you noticed, in general, the more advanced the practitioners, the more they go off on their own and do their practices, their higher practices by themselves. And what do I mean by that? So I've noticed that the great teachers and great spiritual, great meditating teachers, they will come, they will lead a group, they will guide the group literally and energetically, right? But they do their advanced practices by themselves. Now, here's an interesting thing about that. There is no such thing as a person doing their meditation practice by themselves. Because even if there is no one physically present, there is still the energy of that person's higher self, the person's inner teacher or guru, the guidance and assistance and help and blessings of the great ones, and ultimately of God. So we're never meditating by ourselves. We are never lone wolves in our spiritual practices, right? If we're doing them properly. But I've noticed that the very advanced teachers, they will do certain levels, certain blessings, certain teachings that are at the level of the general public, then at the more advanced students, and then at the senior student level. But then when they do their advanced practices, they tend to either have a very small group of senior practitioners with them, or they are in complete and utter isolation from other people. And you might be saying, why is that? Well, it goes back to the original point that we were making, that there are certain energies that are too potent, too strong for certain people. And you might be thinking to yourself, how is that possible? That doesn't make any sense. How can just sitting there with your eyes closed, practicing a mantra, practicing sutras, practicing some technique, how can it produce physical results in the environment that can make people sleepy, that can make people congested, that can make people irritated, that can make people overheat? How is that possible? Well, it goes back to understanding energy. It goes back to understanding energy, because energy is in everything. It's all permeating. There is not any spot in the universe, known and unknown, where there's not energy. Energy is everywhere. It's all permeating, right? Which is God. It's energy with consciousness, which is God. So if the senior practitioner was doing his or her advanced practices among people who are not initiated and not developed at that level, the energy would be overwhelming to them. It would be too much. And I've seen it many times firsthand with other disciples, as well as in my own life, right? So I think to myself, wouldn't it be amazing to do advanced meditation practices with the teachers, with the, for instance, the masters of pranic healing? Wouldn't it be great to get off in a corner and just sit and meditate with them? Wouldn't that be awesome? I've had a couple opportunities when I've been able to meditate in the presence of the masters, and it's like being hit with a lightning bolt. It's so strong. It's so powerful. You can barely stay in your physical body. You're like gone, right? There's actually a story, and for my Christian brothers and sisters out there, you're going to have to correct me on this one, because I don't know the exact passage, but the essence is there. That there was a time that Lord Jesus was telling his apostles to stay awake while he meditated. So Lord Jesus went into deep meditation. He opened his eyes, and all the apostles were asleep. Why were they asleep? Because they were overwhelmed by the tremendous downpour of spiritual energy that Lord Jesus generated. And these were the advanced practitioners, right? These were his hand-chosen senior disciples. And even them, being in the presence of a great, great teacher, the energy was too much. So going back to our original point of, is it better to be a lone wolf and do your meditation practice, or is it better to be in a group? In general, it's better to be in a group, but do not use the group as a crutch to not do your spiritual practice. So whatever your format is, if you meditate daily, then you meditate daily, and when you can meditate with a group, you take advantage of it, right? If it's to meditate weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, I don't recommend going much more than a month without meditating. At the very least, if you can only meditate once per month, which I don't know of a person on the planet that can only do, like, they only have enough time to meditate once a month. But if you're going to meditate only once a month, then meditate on the full moon. Meditate on the full moon. And so this month, the month of April, the full moon is April 19th, which is Good Friday this year. So if you're going to meditate only once a month, I would recommend meditating at the peak of the full moon, which is equivalent to meditating every day for several days, even an entire month, depending upon which full moon that you meditate on throughout the year. So for me, I grew very accustomed to meditating on my own, doing my spiritual practice by myself. And I've been regularly meditating for almost 20 years. It'll be 20 years this coming June. Most of my life I've meditated by myself. But when I do go to the pranic healing events, when I do the healing clinics, the local healing clinics, when I do the annual Arhatic Yoga retreats or teacher training, it's a great opportunity for me to participate and to meditate in the group. And I definitely notice a difference in the amount of energy that's generated with the group. Because again, a rising tide raises all ships. There will be times in your spiritual life and in your spiritual practice that your energy is very low in comparison to the group. So what does that mean for you? That the energy of the group will pull you up and will elevate you. But there will be other times in your spiritual life that you'll be vibrating very, very high. Everything will be hunky-dory. You'll be at the top of the wheel of karma. Everything will be amazing. And then the people around you will be going through tough times, or even some people will be hitting rock bottom. That's your opportunity to hold space and to hold energy for them to reach down and to pull these people up, right? A rising tide raises all ships. And it was actually very interesting. One of the senior practitioners does an online meditation at least 3, if not more times per week, where pranic healers, Arhatic yogis, and advanced Arhatic practitioners will get together and do intensive meditations. And I was regularly attending these. It depends on my schedule, it depends on when I have clients, what have you. I was regularly attending these for a couple months, and I was getting a lot of value out of it. Like, there were teaching opportunities, there was healing opportunities, there was reminders, right? Of like, oh, I totally forgot about that technique, or I forgot about that principle, or oh, I never knew about that one. I'm going to integrate that into my meditation practice when I'm meditating by myself or meditating in another group. And it was funny because the instructor, who's known me for many, many years, he without me saying anything, he intuitively knew that most of my life I've been a lone wolf in my meditation practice. And he sent in the messenger, he goes, Christian, it's good to see you part of a group and not being a lone wolf. So, and that made me feel good. I really enjoyed that because I think part of it as to why I don't meditate in a group is impatience. Because I'm like, let's go, guys. Like, let's stop chatting. Let's stop wasting time on these trivial things. We can talk after we do our practice. And luckily, most of the groups that I'm part of it's very on point. It's like, all right, let's do our exercises. All right, now we're going to do our breathing. Now we're going to do our purifying. Now we're going to do our meditation. Now we're going to do our grounding techniques, right? So that's good. And I'm very grateful to become part of those. And more Arhatic yogis from around the world are forming groups where we can meet online and meditate together. Because Master Choa Koksui says the spiritual path can be lonely at times. The spiritual path can be lonely at times. And so one has to be able to be flexible and adaptable. Sometimes you're going to be interacting with the group and meditating with the group and generating lots and lots of energy with each other. And then there's other times that you need to be in stillness. You need to do your own practice without being led at the pace of the group, because maybe the group is going too fast for you. Maybe the group is going too slow for you, right? So you have to regulate and moderate where you're coming from. Upasana, Atmanamaste, welcome. Good to have you on regularly as always. So I hope that makes sense to you guys. So it's not an either or. It's not an either or. It's an and both. It's an and both. There will be times that you need to be on your path. There are times that you need to meditate by yourself. And then there are times that you need to meditate with the group to add more energy to the group and to be a catalyst for the accelerated growth for other people, because it's not all about you. It's not all about you. And that can kind of lead to selfishness, right? If you meditate too much, too often by yourself, you're like, ugh, I can't wait for these people, right? I'm going to do my own thing. But what about when you are learning and you are on the path and those senior practitioners and senior students came up to you and they helped you, they were patient with you, they were tolerant with you, they were understanding with you, right? So it ebbs and flows. Sometimes you're alone, sometimes you're in a group. And both are good and both serve their purpose. And both are part of the path. Dean, Atmanamaste, my Australian Arhatic brother. You missed the stream, son. We're done. So you're going to have to watch the replay, and please throw in some comments and feedback with the replay. I hope you get value out of it, as always. That being said, and thank you guys for reaching out to me for healing. Many of you have been following up and saying, I want to transform, I want healing, I want to move this part of my life forward. So that's awesome. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to do that. For those of you who are still on the fence, let me kick you over or push you over to the other side of the fence by going to ChristianRLong.com/services, ChristianRLong.com/services, and sign up for a distant pranic healing session. 30 minutes of coaching to get you unstuck, 30 minutes of healing around the thing that you're stuck with, and move you forward faster than you ever imagined possible. That's my wish, that's my hope, that's my prayer, that's my intention for each and every person that I work with, every single session without exception. And that's it, guys. So any questions, comments, put them here below. Direct message me if you have anything that's personal or too personal you don't want to share in a group. By all means, that's fine. And everything is between you and I. Confidentiality, all way, day. And thank you, Susan. I miss you, girl. I'm going to be in the Montrose area. You're like, I don't even remember Montrose. That was like another life. I'll be in the Montrose area probably about the beginning, maybe middle of May, because we're going to do a meditation and healing retreat in Telluride. Dun, 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 dun. Super looking forward to that. Definitely taking it to the next level. Stretching in all kinds of ways. So love you guys very, very much. Have a beautiful day, a beautiful week, and a beautiful life. This is Christian R. Long, Life Enhancement Consultant. Atma Namaste. Bye-bye.